It's the worst of the CBC for April 13th, 2022, the show where I watch the CBC so you don't have to. All right. There's a lot of things that you could file under biggest omission today. There's, the terrorist attack in the Brooklyn subway. Oh, doesn't fit the narrative. Guy had some pretty crazy racial views but was black, so memory hold that one. The wave of terrorist attacks in Israel, we're just going to ignore those until Israel responds, and then we're going to go, blah! Classic. Every day. The fact that Pierre Poilievre had 5,000 people at a rally while talking about heterodox things, let's just ignore that. But I really want to focus on, it's a weird word to the CBC, because the worst thing I saw, and was actually a commercial during the CBC, and that's what terrified me, is the first time I saw an ESG commercial, and sometimes I just skip through them, but I was on live time, so the Royal Bank of Canada said, again, no blinking when you talk about ESG, guys. When you think ESG, think of RBC. Damn, I blinked. But it was your sort of happy-go-lucky dystopian commercial like fast rail transit, economy. But if you read between the lines, they're like holding people accountable for their climate claims. Yeah, that's exactly the problem, is you're going to be holding people accountable for random Greta Thunberg nonsense and ESG crazy nonsense. So there's going to be a social credit score coming to Canada. The banks are pushing it. The government's pushing it. The media's pushing it. They want China. They want Canada to be China Junior. So for anyone who does not know what ESG is, and they're pushing it, it is a social credit system. But it's a really happy one. It's not an evil one. It's a happy one, sponsored by Greta Thunberg. You're evil, and give us your money. So E stands for environmental. We're going to love the planet. Everything's gonna be green. So everything will be green. Greta Thunberg will be deciding your credit score. So, you buy a gas car. ESG goes down. Buy an electric car. ESG goes up. Unless it's a Tesla car, because maybe Elon Musk is too base, then ESG neutral. You got to buy an ESG friendly car that that gives the Trudeau government money. So environmental nonsense, which if you've watched this show enough, you know that green energy is bad for the environment, and everyone who is a proponent of it needs to be fired. They all need to be fired. Then you have social justice. Though in a neutral term, your social justice score. Nothing dystopian about getting a social justice score. That's what the S stands for. So, social justice. If you donate to Black Lives Matter, social justice goes up. ESG score goes up. Now, this next part is for all these stupid Jews who have their head in the sand. I can say this because I'm Jewish. So, CJA, my family members. No, guys, it's only good. ESG is good. Good. It won't hurt me because I'm a good person. I vote liberal. Da. Does your synagogue support Israel? Palestine's a social justice cause, guys. You dumb idiots. Anything you say that's pro-Israel from now on will hurt your purchasing power. You stupid morons. Okay. Fast forward to that. Back to everyone else. But that's the S score, social justice, Black Lives Matter. Basically, and share this video, and your ESG score goes down. So, guys, if you're in a competition, if you want your ESG score to be lower than mine, because mine's currently negative 4,827, take that. You're going to have to like and share the video, subscribe. You might want to follow me on Twitter, the Facebook. You might want to go everywhere I am, like those videos, and say, I support Daniel Boardman, and that way you won't be able to buy a loaf of bread ever again. Congratulations. Now, the G is governance, and this is the most ambiguous one. So they just have a part of, so there's environmentalist nonsense, green energy nonsense, social justice nonsense. So this is basically how left-wing you are. But then there's governance, which is so undefined. It's just do you support the Lord and Savior Justin Trudeau? Did you honk at him? Well, if you honked at the Prime Minister, you won't be able to buy anything anymore. Now, with ESG, they can increase the purchasing power. They can, if they tie this to a CBDC, which they're now studying, which is a central bank digital currency, ESG and central bank digital currencies, that means they can shut off your bank account at a click of a button, monitor everything you buy, and then depending on the types of purchasing you're making, reduce your ability to buy other things in the economy. It's bonkers. Absolute bonkers nonsense. Now, again, I just went on that as just a commercial, but it's coming. It's coming. You have to fight the deep state. Now, the biggest omission and worst comes, it was interesting because right after this, they brought in the Bank of Canada to come and talk about inflation. So, guys, inflation now exists. Now, a couple of months ago, they acknowledged inflation exists, and the CBC told you the best way to fight inflation is to print money and spend it on childcare. Now, isn't the Bank of Canada actually talked about quantitative easing, which they're getting out of, and quantitative tightening? So quantitative easing is just a euphemism for print all the money we can. Woo! 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 That's what quantitative easing is. Quantitative tightening is, okay, we should stop doing this before everything blows up in our face. Now the Bank of Canada is pretty sure, guys, can you guess the reason why there's massive inflation right now? Is it because we've been printing money for the last 2 years? Just woo! And even before that, before that, since 2015 to 2020, we're just like, what's the dun 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 dun, and then 2020 to 22 is just woo! Woo! Double fisted to everything. Now that's not what caused inflation. Guys, it was Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin is the reason there's inflation. Not because we were printing money like a bunch of, coked up bankers. Well, I think that's actually accurate. It probably was a bunch of coked up bankers printing all the money. Anyways, so we're going to stop doing that. Interest rates have gone up. All Putin's fault, by the way. And it's quite interesting that there's even a Toronto Star reporter who asked the question and basically said, so, Pierre Poilievre said inflation was rising, and you said he was a crazy person a couple months ago, but now you're admitting he's right. But I think they kind of wanted to, what I understood from the way the question is phrased at the end, it was basically, is Pierre Poilievre continuing to talk about inflation dangerous? So is Pierre Poilievre, even though he was right about everything he said, is it dangerous for him to continue to be right, is I think what they asked the Bank of Canada, and I can assume that's what they're trying to write a story about. None of it makes any sense because they're all idiots who don't understand how the economy works. Anyways, we're just going to go back to printing crazy amounts of money, but stopping for now. And don't worry, the Bank of Canada says everything's okay because they expect inflation to go back down because the 2022 budget is the craziest budget of all time. And when spending tons and tons of money on nothing, that doesn't cause inflation, only Putin. So we're going to have more inflation. And, we expect massive foreign investment, business investment in Canada to go up. One problem with that, one reason people might not invest in Canada, we froze everyone's bank accounts, you dummies. Yeah, people don't like getting their money stolen, and maybe an ESG score tied to a CBDC with the government seizing people's money means businesses aren't going to invest in Canada unless they're China, unless they're literally China. So maybe China will invest in China Junior, but everyone else is not stupid enough to give their money to Canada because we froze everyone's bank accounts. So that's it for today's Words of the CBC. Remember, if you want to be able to buy a loaf of bread, don't touch this. Never tell anyone you want this. But if you want to try and compete for who has the lowest ESG score, like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Push all the buttons. Get your bank account frozen. I'll see you in the gulag. What again, the Rosemary Barton score? Like a 5, because it was different stuff. It could never be lower than a 5, but it was just a crazy day. So we'll give a 5 out of 10, the Rosemary Barton scale. But anyway, let's print money and then freeze your bank accounts. See you tomorrow.